Season 53, war number 12, the final war of the season, and we're up against MLA. This time my team will be Omega Sentinel, Shathra, and Photon. I will be taking Path 2 in Section 1, Path 1 in Section 2, and then a Bishop, Serpent, as well as a Dust mini-boss, and that will be it for this war. So, a little bit of a shorter war for the final one. Gotta say, this season has not gone well for me. 3 deaths already, that's not good at all. One of the worst I've had in a long time. So, we'll just see how I can close out the rest of this. Starting off here we have a Werewolf by Night on the Trip Feed Placebo node, and I'm taking the fight with Photon. Now, I could essentially bring anyone for this fight. I decided on Photon because Spider-Man, or Spider-Ham, who I wanted to use, was in Alliance for Defense, so I decided to use Photon because she is simple enough for this. Now, something I don't really see people utilizing with Photon is, as you saw there, I slowed down my combo on purpose to make the defender parry me, to trigger the untouchable, to then allow them to hit me, to ramp up faster, so I would have the full ramp up going into that special too, and it just makes playing Photon slightly faster, at least from my experience, and I highly recommend learning to get parried on purpose. There are a few champions who can utilize it, Photon being one of them, but definitely not the only one. And then we have a future Ant-Man here on the Combat Deja Vu Placebo node, and I am taking the fight with Shathra. Now, Shathra is a great option for FAM due to the sheer amount of buffs the defender gains here, and then the atrophy causing them to expire faster, feeding Mystic Dispersion, and all of that. There's also Shathra's damage with the wasps. They will get around the glancing as well as the damage cap that he has, essentially meaning there's nothing Future Ant-Man can do to slow her down, except the power drain. And this fight hasn't gone too well so far. My RNG with glancing has been horrible, so we've just been glancing everything really, stacking too many of the armor ups, and when I tried to intercept to remove them, I couldn't and I got cornered early on. At this point though, I managed to get out, got my special 2 off here, leaves him just short of dying there, so I do need another special. I just throw the special 1 into his block, knowing the burst, or rather the wasps will finish out the fight, and that's the fight over. No damage taken at all, and I don't really recommend finishing out fights the way I did there, but if you are 100% sure that the defender will be finished off by it, I mean, might as well. The special doesn't have to land to deal the damage. And then we have a Chee'ilth on the Never Back Down node, and I will be taking this fight with Omega Sentinel. Now, Omega Sentinel herself isn't really the greatest counter for Chee'ilth. The main reason I'm using her here instead of anyone else is because she doesn't take damage from the bleeds that Chee'ilth can inflict through your block. It is just a safe option, but with that said, the cleanses that Chee'ilth gains here are a bit annoying, and that's gonna hurt my damage output here a bit. However, since I already got the heal block up while the cleanses were down, if I just keep it up by finishing my combos with light attacks throughout the rest of the fight, she will not be able to heal due to the Never Back Down node at all, meaning this is essentially a nodeless fight at this point. Now, to speed things up a little bit, I am doing my best to land as many parries here as possible to consume the cleanse charges while getting to my special 3. Once there, I go for another medium to get one more cleanse off, drop the special, and now, with all the incinerates this inflicts, the cleanses will get eaten up by a few of the incinerates, and the rest will go through. When Chee'ilth was released, her cleanses did purify all debuffs applied at the same time, but that was a bug and has been fixed since, so every single cleanse she has will only cleanse a single debuff at a time. Fight goes down, did take some cheap damage there, but overall a very safe and simple fight. Then we have a Mr. Sinister on the Buffet over time and Arc Overload nodes, and I will be taking this fight with Omega Sentinel as well. As you probably know by now, Omega Sentinel is Nullify immune, so the Arc Overload rather the buffet node, will never be able to trigger here, and then the Arco Reload as well as Mr. Sinister's personal regeneration are all dealt with using Omega Sentinel's heal block on that second medium. Just a reminder to always start, or well, for this tactic especially, always start the fights by placing the heal block pre-fight, so that you don't need to play around with your heavy attack to swap modes mid-fight. You can just get the heal block off right off the bat and then keep in that mode throughout the fight in case it ever falls off. As usual, I get to the special 3, drop it for the damaging debuffs and then let them do the work. If Sinister here were to use the special 1 there, he would remove the plasma debuffs off of himself, but Omega Sentinel is a robot, so you wouldn't get degenerations from it. Overall, Omega Sentinel is a safe option for him on most nodes, and as you saw, she made quick enough work of him to be one of the top options, or at least considered to be one of the top options. And then we have the hated Bishop on the Power Snack and 1-2 minutes mini-boss node, at the very least hated by me. I'm pretty sure I've taken this fight basically every single war we have had it here, and I don't wanna see it again. It sucks as a fight, and I don't enjoy fighting it. But we don't really have a choice. I guess we could use other champions, but since I have been successful in taking this one throughout the season, no real reason to switch it up, I guess. Game plan is, as always, push Bishop to his special 2s only, then try not to mess up the full decks on it. Well, in my case, my track record isn't the greatest with it, but we'll see if I can have some better timed decks as this time around. So far so good anyways. But yeah, as I say, I don't know what's wrong with me, I just can't do it. Anyway, I just go for the special 3 here. I'll probably take some power sting for doing so, but that's fine. I'll just use the potion and be done with it. I just want out of this fight. Not a big fan of it. I don't have great memories taking it, and also the cheap damage that you are just forced to take due to the unfortunate interaction with the 1-2 minutes node and your special 3. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a fan. Either way, this time around this fight does go a little bit better than it has previously. I only got clipped once by a special 2. So, I guess that's cool. It should be 0 times, and probably should just been pushing the special 3s anyway. But overall the fight still went down, and I didn't drop my 4th death of the season, so there is that silver lining once again, if you wanna even call it that. And then we have the Serpent here on the Mega Stand, and when I open mini-boss node, I will be taking the fight with Shathra, and I did go ahead and remove the Recall Masteries for this. Now I don't really wanna be dealing with the constant health loss against someone like Serpent, if I can avoid it. Having Mystic Dispersion also does make Shathra's power still stronger, so that is very helpful in dealing with basically any champion you would use Shathra against, because it does make her rotation easier to pull off, and you don't need to manage as many resources when doing so. The biggest problem I see people have when playing Shathra is using the special 1 too early and then falling short on the resource management when dropping that special 2, causing the damage output to be quite a bit lower than it needs to be. So just trying to manage my wasps here properly. I get the special 2 off with the protection down, so the damage is nice. It's not amazing, but it is there, it is enough, and overall Shathra is a great option for Serpent, mainly due to the atrophy and its ability to completely shut down the death immunity phase. I guess saying completely is a bit of a lie. It will still trigger and it will still be active for a little while, as you will see here, but overall the duration is so short that it doesn't really give Serpent any chances to do anything. He'll maybe gain a bar of power at most, but that's about it. One more heavy charge into special 2 and the fight is done in roughly a minute and a half. Overall, again, it wasn't the cleanest fight, or it wasn't as clean as it could have been, I should say, but even so, a minute and a half for a Serpent there, with as much health loss as I had there, it's not a bad fight, but yeah, I would still consider Sim Supreme being the #1 option for Serpent, still on basically any node. Though with that said, I haven't seen Spiral against him in Alliance War yet, so maybe that will change soon, we shall see. Then we have the final fight of the war, a dust on the Conflictor, and Combat Issue Prowess nodes, and I'm taking the fight with Omega Sentinel. I have a White Magneto pre-fight here to allow me to land my parries without Conflictor eating them, and then... Now, this fight is slightly tricky. You need the heal block up to deal with the defense tactic, but since you can't really trigger the Conflictor node with your parries here, you do need to do a double medium, trigger Conflictor and get another double medium in before the Conflictor node comes back, and then you also need to pause the heal block before it falls off. So trying to manage that here, I was having some issues with it, but now just before the power gain phase triggered, I was able to get it on, and now at this point the rest is simple enough. Just finish combos on light attacks to keep the heal block up, get to that special 3, and before throwing it, consume Conflictor with another double medium, and also don't immediately throw the special 3 as your second medium lands, otherwise the plasmas from it will get eaten by the Conflictor trigger as well, as we saw earlier in the season against a Man-Thing miniboss. So I did the double medium, waited for a little bit, then I threw the special 3. Now the plasmas should apply to the opponent as normal, still have the heal block up, and now it's just back to light ending combos. Though there I did a heavy attack into a striker, since the first hit of your heavy attack pauses the debuffs, the second switches the modes, so cancelling my own heavy attack with the striker allows me to pause the debuffs in a single hit without cycling over to the next debuff, allowing me to keep the heal block ready to go if I ever need it again. Though I did not end up needing it, still that is something you can keep in mind when playing Omega Sentinel. As for the results, we did end up winning this war 28-7. And while winning as many wars as we did this season seems like a good thing, apparently one of our members was cheating one way or another, probably piloted, and that meant that our alliance got docked for the first time since I've been in New Nation. So, as far as the rewards go for this season, we landed in Plat 1, and yeah, it's a big drop in rewards from top 10 of Masters to Plat 1. Basically, I had no reward opening this time around at all, so yeah, that's fun. If there's any silver lining in this whole thing, it's the fact that despite me dying so many times this season, ultimately it didn't matter because we got docked anyways, so again, if you can even call it a silver lining, then that's the one. And finally, my seasonal stats were 82 attacker kills and 3 deaths, so one of the worst seasons I have had in a very long time. Fantastic. We'll see how that goes next time around, when Silk will be whitelisted, so you can probably assume I will be using her every single war, or at least most of them.